Namandavts, 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 namandavts.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our first ever hybrid virtual and in-person service. My name is Tara, and I would like to thank you for attending this morning's combined Dharma, Family, and November Shotsky Memorial Service. Just due to COVID restriction, at the end of service, we will be asking everyone to please remain seated until the usher helps you. In addition, there will be no chanting, singing, or reciting, but you are welcome to follow along silently if you are here in person. All right, we will begin this service with the moment of quiet sitting. Reverend Kuwahara will strike the bell, and he will sit for 1 or 2 minutes to quiet our minds and prepare to hear the Dharma. Then he will strike the bell again, and we will continue with the service.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda 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 Butsu.
Reverend Kuwahara will now chant the Shishin Rai, which is on page 29 of the large service book, followed by the Hyobyakumon dedication passage. Following the dedication, Reverend Kuwahara will chant Amida Kyo, which is on page 101 of the large service book. During the chanting, the Shotsky families are invited to come up to burn incense. And there's also hand sanitizer here. All right, thank you.
ちうししんけいれいなもしょうちうほししんけいれいなもしょうちうそう。Dedication 表白 Today, on this occasion of November Shotsuki monthly memorial service, we gather to remember our family members and friends who passed away in the month of November. The end of life is inevitable for all beings. We may recognize the truth of Buddha's teaching that everything in this world is impermanent. And yet, as we grieve the parting of our dear loved ones, we find it difficult to accept this truth in our hearts. With great compassion, Amida Buddha established a vow to lead all sentient beings to the realm of nirvana upon their departure from this world, and bring about their attainment of the highest enlightenment and a complete liberation from suffering. Because of this vow, they have now become enlightened ones, or Buddhas, who compassionately embrace and guide us on our journey to liberation from suffering. May we encounter the guidance of the Buddha and deepen our appreciation of the Buddha's compassionate benevolence. May we remember with gratitude all we have received from the deceased, and reaffirm that we continue to spiritually receive guidance within their embrace. ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。Now, I will read the name of our Dharma friends who passed away in the month of November. よしこあだち、ヘイリーあさこボリ、イサムドイ、デニスタミフォン、ナンシールイ藤川、しずこ深田、知恵福永、すみえグラック、あやこひの、千代広瀬、エリー・ケイ・ひとみ、レイ・今村、春子・稲富、伊佐石川、砂江石野、ジョージ石野、誠一上、住子川口、静子川上、三沢北村、初江小西、房代河野、藤野小桜、綾子倉和、哲夫栗原、ファン・タイ・ランゴ、ニコール・ラヴィン、ワイコ・リングスト、春野村谷、住江松原、レベッカ・ジョイ・前野、正和宮本、三子宮本、セイリー春子水永、 ジョージ村重森重、早尾中川、茂沖、静子沖、ハリー和夫沖野、雄八大久保、メリー春子太田、テリー照子音、忠弘さん鮫島、ジョセフ佐々木、国和佐々木、ジョー島田、安江島田、佳代篠田、清明篠田、俊二篠田、ウェイン T 住崎、和義住崎、ヘンリカ・シュカラスキー、俊江高橋、和江高橋、吉和高橋、弁高尾、千鶴子前田中、幸恵寺澤、君子当時、フランク勝鳥時利千代富永、三尾富永、アイリーン朝子塚田、木造馬渡、文江上島、ミルトン S 和歌山、ベン T 和歌山、ネリー・ワールスタッド、土佐尾山田、三重子吉村、信子吉村。So today, those people will be remembered during this Shotsuki monthly memorial service for November. Now I'm going to chant Amida-kyo Sutra on page 103. Naman doubts. 아미다교 뇨제가몸 이치지분자이 샤에곡기즈키 고독원 요다이비쿠슈 센니百50人그大勢大あらかん首相知識長老シャリホトマカモケンレンマカカショマカカセンネンマカクチラリハシュリハンダガナンダアナンダラゴラキョボンハダイインズルハクラカルダイマカコヒンナアクラアヌルダニョゼト初代弟子上昇菩薩マカサツモンジュシリホジアイタボスケンダカダイボサ上昇人ボサヨニョゼト初代ボサ有釈大観印と無料商店大祝二次仏語長老シャリホトン十税裁縫果十万の区仏無正解妙圧極楽合同有仏語阿弥尊現在説法シャリホトン非道が公明意極楽合国宗無宿単樹昇楽光明極楽ウシャリホトン極楽国道七十乱十七十羅七十五十改税司法収総医尿税公費 妙圧極楽舍利法極楽国土牛ポチ悪毒水十万号中地帯順人降車風四辺街道金言ルリハリ五条上六百位金言ルリハリ社交釈主名の二言直地中蓮華大尿車輪小式小公大式王公釈式者百式白光未明高潔シャリホン極楽国道上十尿税空毒症ウシャリホン非仏国道上差天学黄金維持中夜六時二万だらけ五国衆上上位昇誕各位栄上州妙慶空用他方十万の区仏即位時期伝統本国凡時期協業シャリホツ極楽国上十尿税空毒将軍武士シャリホツ非国上修十奇妙雑式市長白光空弱大武者下領便が愚名市長税商州長中夜六時水和芸音合音延長合根合力七宝大部八正道分尿税東方合同修上門税応仁開室年仏年法年シャリ発尿物医師長実税財宝少々小医者非仏国道無三幕宗シャリ発合仏国道小無三幕道師魔教宇実税商中長海税阿弥陀仏抑量法温泉変化少佐シャリ発非仏国道二風水小法五十牛法ラモ水未明異尿百戦十学同時空差門税王社会事年少念仏年年相死神シャリ発合仏国道上十尿税六将軍シャリ発お尿意運が非仏がご阿弥陀シャリホン非仏光明無量生じ報告無償証下税公合意阿弥陀ウシャリホ非仏寿命牛語人民無料無変阿葬儀光明阿弥陀シャリホン阿弥陀仏成仏以来王根実ウシャリホツ非仏無料無変正門弟子海アラ非税三十四小の地消防殺種薬部尿税シャリ非仏国道上十尿税空毒将軍ウシャリホツ極楽国中上少者海税阿ビバチゴ中タウ一生不同州人他非税三十小の知識単価無料無阿蘇義公摂シャリ発修上門者応答発願願消費上位者が特用尿税症状善人空営一生シャリ不可視症前言福徳因年特消費シャリ発脈善男子善尿人門説阿弥陀仏修持名脈一日脈二日脈三日脈四日脈五日脈六日脈七日一心風蘭言林林明寿阿弥陀仏幼少修上現在午前善人修持神風天即徳往生阿弥陀仏極楽国土シャリ発崖前 公摂子言脈修上門税摂社応答発願消費国シャリ発尿が根者三段阿弥陀仏不可思議空逃亡薬阿宿美仏修味創仏大修味仏修味公妙音仏尿税等合が社修小仏各王合水工上絶相偏風三千大先生雪上実言尿等修上等身税小三不可思議空一切小仏称号年行シャリ発南方正解ウ日合等縄文鉱物大円見物趣味動物無料精進物尿税合が社修小仏各王合国水工上絶偏風三千大先正解雪上実言尿等修上等身税小足義空毒一切小称号年行シャリ発裁縫正解無料重物無料創物無料道大好物大名物発想物上皇物尿税等合が社修小物各王合水工上絶相偏風三千大先正解戦上実尿等修上等身税小三不可思議空毒一切小物称号年シャリ発北方正解右縁見物最小音物南小物日小物猛妙尿税等合が社修小物各王合国水工上絶偏風三千大先正解戦上実言尿等修上等身税小不可思議空毒一切小物称号年行シャリ名法正解牛死仏妙門仏妙高仏達摩仏報道仏自法尿税等合が社修小仏各王合国水工上絶相偏風三大先正解戦上実言尿等修上等身税小三不可思議空洞一切小仏称号年行シャリ発情報正解空本論仏宿老仏工場仏高校仏大円見仏雑式法系言神サラ十王仏法系特仏見一切義仏尿臭味仙仏尿税動画社修小仏各王合国水工上絶相偏風三大先正解戦上実言尿等修上等身税小不可思議空毒一切小仏称号年行シャリ発応尿意運雅光妙意一切小仏称号年シャリ発脈全難死全尿人門前小仏説明牛行妙税小全難死全尿人会一切小仏偶称号海徳風大天王阿のくたら三脈三宝大税公シャリ尿等海東真珠が合牛小武将説シャリ脈人異発願根発願東発願翼小阿弥陀仏国者税小人と海徳風大天王阿のくたら三脈三宝大王妃国脈異小脈根性脈東小税公シャリ小善難死全尿人脈信者応答発消費国土シャリ発尿が根者小三小仏不可思議空非小仏と薬小説が不可思議空毒二左前釈迦牟尼仏の偉人南慶有志寺のシャバ国土豪辱悪公辱権辱煩悩辱修上辱妙辱中徳阿のくた三脈三宝大異小修上節税一切政権南進司法シャリ 統治が王強辱悪性行使難事徳阿のくたら三脈三宝一切政権摂氏南進司法税人仏摂氏教医シャリ発牛小ビク一切政権天人アシュラ等文部諸説寛義真珠さらいにこう仏説阿弥陀経アマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭道法菩提心往生安楽ナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダーツナマンダー
Please rise if you are able to follow along silently with the Gatha Undoku-san 2. And then please remain standing for the reading of the three treasures. Oh
すべし
Sorry. I will now recite the Three Treasures 1 on page 8 of the large service book. Please follow along silently if you are in person, and if you are joining us virtually, feel free to read along. Three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Midabutsu. Namo Midabutsu. Namo Midabutsu. Namanda Sammanda. You will, all may be seated. As you all can see, Reverend Kuwahara had to speak at another service, and so you're all stuck with me today for the Dharma message. All right. Will you all please join me in Gasho? Namo Midabutsu. Namo Midabutsu. Namo Midabutsu. So due to COVID, we're a little bit limited in what we can do, so going to try a little something different to hopefully be inclusive of everyone who's joining us today, whether you're here in person or if you're here virtually. So for those of you who are, well, I guess if you're here too, but it'll be easier for those who are virtual. If you can get a piece of paper or something that you can write on, or maybe it can be a phone or something like that. For those of you who are here, you're welcome to do the same, or you can just think in your head. All right. So I'm going to pull up the screen. So before we get started, this month is November, and it's also Native American Heritage Month. So I did want to take a moment to acknowledge that while my talk isn't about that today, that for those of us in Berkeley or the East Bay area, we are on Ohlone land. And for those of you who want to learn more, you can go to native-land.ca to find what land you are on, and also you're welcome to learn more. All right, so now going back to that piece of paper, or if you want to put it on your phone, that's fine too. Think of someone who has passed away, or maybe someone that you don't get to see as often anymore, and so someone who you miss. So for those of you who are here with me, once you have someone in mind, you can give me a thumbs up or a raised hand. Oh. Alrighty. Are we all? Yeah. So let's see those thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing some nods. Thank you, everybody. All right. So now you can write this down or think in your head. What are the things that you are grateful for this person? So I'll give you all a couple of moments to reflect, to write it down. And again, when you feel like you have a couple things in your head, feel free to give me a thumbs up or a raised hand. And I hope our Hondo people are thinking at the same pace as everyone else. How are we doing? All right, seeing some thumbs up and nods and people looking up. Alrighty. So the next questions, you can either raise your hand or thumbs up if the answer is yes. So are you grateful for, and you can have this person, oh, did it go? Oh, yeah, okay. So have that person in your head. Are you grateful for this person who cooked for you? I think I see a couple hands and nods. Are you grateful for someone who accompanied you to a destination? So maybe gave you rides to activities or school, maybe rode on the bus with you, walked with you. Seeing a lot of thumbs for this one. And then, are you grateful for someone who helped you with something? So maybe that was homework, or maybe it was a project, or maybe it was preparing for an interview, or maybe making something. I'm seeing a lot of hands. Are you grateful for someone who made you laugh or smile? Oh, that was a quick answer. Are you grateful for someone who told you when you had something in your teeth, or that you had something like your shirt backwards, or something embarrassing? There's some hands. Are you grateful for someone who was a good friend? Yeah, lots of hands. Are you grateful for someone who listened to you? Are you grateful for someone who was there for you when you're having a hard day? Did this person teach you something? Lots of yeses. Do you have some difficult memories with this person? A couple of fast hands went up. Do you have good memories with this person? All right. So thank you for participating in that. I'm gonna turn off the projector. Thank you, everyone, for participating. So if you raised your hand or were able even to write down a person's name or maybe the name that you called them, or if you're able to write down things that you were grateful for, then this person is still with you. If you're even able to answer any of these questions, if it was yes or no, that means they are still with you. If you were able to think of answers to these questions and it helped trigger those memories and thoughts of this person. And even if they're not here physically with you anymore, they're still here with you. When my grandma passed away, something that helped me cope was to write down all the memories, the good, the neutral, the bad, and the things that I was grateful for. I am grateful that she was able to live with us when I was a kid. I'm grateful that she gave us rides to or from at school or activities. I'm grateful she gave us snacks after school, like Spam musubi. I'm grateful that she came to all of our sports activities and music performances to cheer us on. I'm grateful that she was able to recover from being in and out of the hospital for many weeks and was able to live another 4 years. I still remember her joking about how my uncle was being a very tough coach for her physical therapy, which consisted of her lifting water bottles, walking around the living room, meditating until they fell asleep, and eating many desserts because she was trying to gain some weight back. So in Buddhism, we learn a lot of things, and I'm going to kind of group a couple things in here today. So we learn that things are impermanent, that things are constantly changing, and so that's why the people's names that you wrote down and that we're thinking about are no longer physically here. But knowing impermanence doesn't necessarily make it not difficult that they're not here. It still can be difficult sometimes. Buddhism also teaches us that we will experience suffering in this life and that we will experience different emotions because we are human, and that's okay. Buddhism also teaches us the other eye, interdependence. That we're all connected. And so while we may have a lot of difficult emotions like sadness, for me, when my grandma passed away, I had people around me supporting me. And I had my family there, and we could talk about memories of my grandma, and we were able to grieve together. I had my classmates who checked in with me, and my partner and my friends who showed that they were there for me. And for a few years later, I had therapy too. Remembering the things that I was grateful for, remembering that we experience emotions like sadness, and remembering that there were people supporting me did help me cope, helped me work through and live in the sadness. It didn't always make the sadness go away. Sometimes maybe it would help a little bit. But it reminded me that things will get better. And sometimes I'll feel sad, and sometimes maybe I'll feel a little less sad, and sometimes I'll feel happy or mad or confused or content or love. And so it might be difficult, and we might experience difficult emotions when loved ones pass away, and that's okay. We will get through it with our support people by our side and by finding different ways to cope, whether it's writing, reading, cooking, walking, talking, and whatever it may be. So will you please join me in Gasho? Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Naman. All right, so today is the first Sunday of the month, and so we have a monthly birthday lottery. For those of you who have a birthday in December, feel free to send your name in, and then you can be in this lottery. So happy birthday and to all of the November birthdays. And now I'll pick a name for who will win the birthday prize this month. I would love to have someone else pick it, but probably can't because of COVID. Okay, I promise I'm not looking. Okay. All right, Sadako. Woo, congratulations. Make sure to sign up. All right, and then I don't know if there's a happy birthday song today. Is there? Okay. No? Okay. Thank you, Bradley. All righty. Hope you all have a wonderful birthday this November. So now,
Before you go to the announcement, may I say something?
yes.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Kiyonobu Kuwahara. I'm serving Berkeley Buddhist Temple as a supervising minister. So, welcome back. I'm so excited, so happy to see you in person. ね、本当ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. So, yeah, we closed the temple mid-March 2020. And then finally, we could open the temple. Of course, to open the temple, we have a coronavirus response committee. And then the committee members worked so hard. And then temple board, temple members, so many people worked so hard behind the scene to, have this reopening for today. ね、本当。And then we have so many people signed up and then, came to today's service. 本当にありがとうございます。Thank you very much. So I hope we can continue this in-person service and no more shutdown. And then we also continue the virtual YouTube service too. So we will continue this hybrid service. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for you because I'm now a guest speaker virtually to San Fernando Valley Buddhist Temple. So I need to go back to the temple, to do give a Dharma message on Zoom. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you, extend my deepest gratitude to all of you. 本当ありがとうございました。Thank you very much. ごめんなさい。
So, now we have some announcements before the Dharma school students go to their classes. So if anyone has any announcements to read at the Sunday service, to be included on the announcement slide and to be announced, if you could send it to the temple office by Friday before service, we will get it in there for you. All right, so first, we have virtual yoga today, right after service. This one will be on Zoom. There will be a Center for Buddhist Education, CB, online Japanese seminar by Reverend Kuwahara on Saturday, November 13th at 11 a.m. You can go to the Buddhist Churches of America website to register. There is a meditation and discussion on Wednesday, November 17th at 7 p.m. And then you can sign on also at the temple website. And then there will be Transgender Day of Remembrance Memorial Service on Saturday, November 20th at 4 p.m. The online service will be accessible via the Berkeley Buddhist Temple Facebook and also YouTube page. All right, so now all of the students will be dismissed to their classes. So all of the Dharma School students are welcome to Gasho and come to the front. And then we're actually going to have you go through this door to go to your classrooms. And everyone else is welcome to stay for the adult Dharma message. So again, you're stuck with me for the adult Dharma message. All right. So today service is Shotsuki Memorial Service, and that means it's a service to remember those who passed away in the month of November. And so I'd like to share a little bit more of my story about my grandma with you today. So about 5 years ago, I gave a message here at the Berkeley Buddhist Temple, and this message was about my grandma and how she got very sick. She was in and out of the hospital with a fever, and the doctors could not figure out what was going on. And we didn't think she was going to make it. And amazingly, she did. She did lose lots of weight and lots of strength, but she made it. And she was finally able to go home to my uncle's house where she'd been living that summer, and was able to enjoy good food with the whole family because we were all visiting. But during that message, what I learned from my grandma getting sick was that it was a reminder that she was getting older and that life is impermanent, and that it was really important I not take for granted the time I had left with her. So exactly 4 years after my grandma's amazing recovery, it was 2018 in August, my whole family, my mom, my dad, my 2 sisters, me, my aunt, my uncle, and my 2 cousins, and even one of my cousin's baby daughter, and also my cousin's husband, all of us were going to LA, Los Angeles, to visit Grandma for her 94th birthday. And so she was staying with my uncle, her son, at the time, and he was her caretaker for those 4 years. And over those four years, I was able, luckily, to make extra trips down to LA for the summer, New Year, and other occasions. We would eat good food. Our uncle would just drive us somewhere and try a new restaurant. We would help her make ozoni on New Year or bake cookies, but she didn't really need help. And she would complain about the politics and would make jokes, like pretending to check my uncle's math when he was tipping at a restaurant. And so in August 2018, I was entering my second year of graduate school. And just for a little bit of context, I used to be a court-appointed special advocate, or a CASA worker, which is an advocate in the court for youth in foster care. And so it was a few days before my flight to LA, and I was waiting for my CASA youth to get out of school. And so I was just studying for my school in a coffee shop. And I noticed that I had a missed call from my dad. And I was like, oh, that's a little weird that he's calling. So I called him back, and he said that grandma had a stroke and was in the hospital. And so he was calling me to let me know if I wanted to change my flight. And so dread and fear filled me. And I closed my laptop, covered my face with my hands, and started to cry. She was gonna be okay, I told myself. And everyone else was already in LA or on their way. And so I emailed my professor, let her know I would be missing seminar and change my flight. So when I got to LA, she was in the hospital with a lot of tubes and medications. They told us she would be okay for the night, and so we all went home. In the morning, some of us went to see her, and the doctor told them that she wasn't able to breathe that much when they took the respirator off. So that meant that she wouldn't be able to live without all of the tubes and machines. And so we all joined together at the hospital to be with her and to talk about next steps. And so we made the decision to transfer her to comfort care. And on August 31st, 2018, my grandma passed away with my father and my uncle by her side. Soon after, I stayed for a couple days in LA, but I had to return to school. And I felt really sad and heavy and didn't have much time to really think about anything because I was jumping right back into school, and we had internship 3 days a week, which actually began on September 5th, so less than a week after. And I opted to go, of course. I would do that, and where I met my co-intern supervisor and everyone, and for the first time. And so I really didn't take that time to pause and to grieve and to process. And actually that next Sunday I was here at the temple. And I actually still remember the message that day. It was Reverend Kuwahara's Dharma message, and he quoted Hiroto. And so Hiroto, I know you're not in here right now, but you're famous because now you've been quoted twice. But I can't remember the exact words, but what he said was that the people who pass away, they are above us, beside us, and all around us. And reminding us that those who pass away never truly leave us. They have impacted our life, and so they live on with us. And so those words and that message meant a lot to me in that moment. And after service, I kind of hid and cried, but not to hide the crying so much of I wasn't ready yet to talk about it. And so it actually wasn't until 2020 when I began to process and grieve. And so in February of 2020, I actually began therapy, not to address my grandmother's passing, but to address anxiety and depression that I was experiencing that had been heightened by my job at the time. And so after removing myself from that environment and after being able to slow down and process my trauma at my work, I was able to then start to feel and think and process other things, other feelings and emotions that I had yet to process. And so, as you all know, in 2020, a lot of people were dying, many from COVID, some because they couldn't get the necessary treatment due to COVID, and some for reasons unrelated. And this included some people in my life, such as my gymnastics coach, who was also my first ever boss. A couple of my friends lost their fathers, and 2 of my classmates from my graduate school program, some due to COVID and some unrelated. And so this loss and seeing the loss in the news and all around us triggered that grief that I had not processed when my grandma had passed away 2 years previously. And so finally, I talked about my grandma, and I talked about her passing, and my feelings and my memories. I wrote out the memories and the experiences of seeing her in the hospital, and I cried, and I wrote, and I talked, and I reflected, and I grieved. So I share this because we all grieve differently, and we all need different things during those times of grief. And I know that now I've been able to come to a place where I can live each day knowing that she lives on in me and my family. I do remember the hard days when she was in her 80s and would talk about wanting to die. And when she got sick, when she was 90 and was struggling to gain her weight back and gain her strength. And I remember the neutral days of her just watching TV or playing her card computer game. And I remember the happy days when she would joke about how hard my uncle was working her in physical therapy, even though during walks she outpaced all of us. She was 93 and walked faster than all of us. And I miss her. And for the first year or so, it was really weird to think I'd go to LA and walk through the door and not hear my grandma say, "Hi, when'd you get here?" with a huge smile on her face. And now when I go back to LA, I still see her blue cane at the door, even though she never really used it. She kind of pointed with it more than used it. Maybe that physical therapy was working. And then her black leather fanny pack in its nook. And so, again, Buddhism teaches us that things change. It teaches us that life isn't permanent and that there is suffering in our lives. And yes, things change. Yes, we need to accept these realities, and it's still difficult. Losing someone we love or someone we care about, someone who means something to us, is difficult. Even though we know life isn't permanent, even though we know everyone will pass away at some point, even though we have so many memories, it's still difficult. And sometimes we have a funeral, sometimes we have the chance to say goodbye, and sometimes we don't, if it's unexpected, and sometimes we have the chance to say what we want to say, and other times we don't get that opportunity. Sometimes we do get to ask all those millions of questions we have, and sometimes we realize we can't ask those questions anymore. And it's still difficult. And so in my grandma's case, while it was sudden and we weren't able to talk with her while she was conscious, we were able to be there in her last days. And she had lived another good and unexpected 4 years, during which she was able to eat good food and watch my sister swim in college, see me graduate from college, and a couple of years later, see my younger sister graduate from high school, and my other middle sister graduated from college, and she was able to keep my uncle's house very clean, and was able to become a great grandmother when my cousin had her first child. And I miss her. And I know she's here. And it did take me a long time to grieve and process to get where I am today. And we all cope and grieve in different ways. The difficult thoughts and feelings can come up during this process, and it is really important to take that time to feel and to do what we need to grieve, whether that's journaling, whether that's sleeping a little bit extra, talking with loved ones, talking with a therapist, going for walks, eating good food, or maybe it's keeping busy for a little while until you're ready, although I wouldn't recommend doing that for too long. Whatever it may be, that time and space to breathe and grieve and appreciate and celebrate the life of your loved ones who are no longer physically with us, but who are here with us and all around us because we are interconnected. And so, thank you for joining today. Will you all please join me in Gasho? Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namanda. So thank you again to everybody for joining us today for our first hybrid service. Before we close, I'd like to say some thank yous. So first, thank you, Bradley and Myron, for your help during today's live stream service. They are in the back very busy monitoring the YouTube chat and making sure the virtual service is going well and everyone can see and hear everything, so thank you very much. Then thank you, Emiko and the music team, for our beautiful music today for the Gotha. Thank you to the COVID-19 committee for helping keep our members safe as we transition back to some in-person and hybrid services. And again, thank you to all of you for joining today's service, whether you're here in person or here virtually. All right. And so last is today, you are all welcome to offer incense, but we're going to have to do it a little bit differently. There will be no coffee social. And instead, we will ask you all to remain seated until an usher directs you to offer incense, and then we'll be exiting this door today. So thank you again, and hope to see you next Sunday.